Good afternoon, all. Now we are in the third session of the day. The session is on reading and comprehension, strategies to go, to be handled by Dr. Mangalam Neelakantan. Before we proceed, I would like to give a brief introduction about our resource person. Dr. Mangalam Neelakantan has decades of experience in teaching, training, and consulting in education, especially English language teaching. Her specialization ranges from curriculum design, content development to evaluation of projects, courses, and individual achievement of learners at different dimensions. Mangalam has worked with schools, colleges, and several industries with focus on communication and value addition. She is widely traveled both within and outside the country to places like Nepal, Bhutan, Dubai, Almaty, the UK, and the US for cultural understanding and observing the diversity worldwide. Her passion for education won her several projects of repute with British Council India, also the English Access Micro Scholarship Program run by the US Department of State. Mangalam Neelakantan has authored several course books for children and adults. Ma'am, now I welcome you to handle the session. Ma'am, please. Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am, you're muted. Please unmute. Yes, ma'am. Now it is.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. And this session on the topic in reading comprehension and strategies on the go. I would like to keep it a little short and go for the workshop mode in the sense that you would have to read some of the passages and even put in your response in the chat box. Please do not worry. Most of us don't know each other, and we are not worried about who is saying what. We're just attempting, we are reading certain passages, and we are trying to identify whatever the task requires. All right? Shall we start, ma'am, with the first one? Slide.
Yes, ma'am. I'll present your.
So here we have, I thought, ma'am, there was notes below that. Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Below the slides, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, you could navigate the next one.
No, for this slide also, there was a...
No, ma'am, we received.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, go back to the first one. We'll manage.
Yes.
When all of you look at this, this picture, what is it that comes to your mind? What is it that comes to your mind? Can you just put it on the chat box as far as the keywords? What are the keywords here in the title? If you can attempt to put in the chat box. What are the keywords? All right, I wouldn't wait long. Yes, book. Reading is fun. I can read that. Reading, the keyword. Comprehension. Strategies. Right. You've got it. So I wanted these, the reading, comprehension, strategies, on the go. Right, on the go. I use this phrase on the go mainly to thank you, all of you. Uh, I use it mainly to say that reading comprehension happens wherever we are. It could be for inside the classroom, outside the classroom, when you're traveling, um, when you are reading a newspaper, when you're reading a textbook, uh, all different types of texts, as well as whatever you are doing. We are reading signposts, road signs, maps. So the comprehension is happening on the go most of the time. So this is for that, and you have picked up some nice words, children smiling, which suggests that it's an activity which is to be enjoyed. So an overview of the presentation today, as I already mentioned, we will be going the workshop mode. And what is reading comprehension? Some of you have already answered there on the chat box for me. It is, and then what you did in the morning session, and you have been doing last 3 days. It includes a lot of things like understandings, the specific skills, the strategies that you use, the skimming, scanning, understanding vocabulary, the grammar of it, the structure of the text, so many things. So today we're going to look at the strategies for reading, the reading comprehension, the speed and the comprehension as is required in GRE and IELTS examination. We're going to look at the types of readers, what they need to do to read better, which means the onus is on the teachers also. Sometimes we hear teachers often saying that my students don't understand the text. They don't understand uh, the questions that I am asking. So I think we need to look at and understand the types of readers we have in the classroom. We don't have the same kind of readers. So we will look at the types of readers also. What are the common roadblocks? We'll try to understand the roadblocks in reading and how to develop generally the reading comprehension skills. You have this cartoon character here. I'm sure most of you are familiar. I've seen it sometime or the other. But the very young ones, research scholars, may not be very familiar. It's more my time when Betty comics was very, very common. A lot of us used to read. We have grown on Betty comics. But the interesting thing about this is, as late as 1997, this comic predicted that in 2021, people will not be going to school with an eerie accuracy, and the learning mode will be more of online. So it will be online schooling. So you see Betty here, she says, "Excuse me, folks, class is about to begin." And here there is a notice which says video monitor must remain uncovered all the times. So if it's going to be uncovered, these two are chatting, her parents are chatting. They never have to carry books to school, and they never have to worry about the weather. And that's what we see today, online learning. And so what is the challenge to reading when it comes to reading comprehension in this online learning? That is another challenge also. We'll be looking at that. Yeah, I get people putting their comments there about Indraja comics. Very interesting to read. So I thought that was one. Reading comprehension, I'll quickly go through this. We won't spend much time. You have already done most of this in other sessions. I was listening to the sessions in the morning. Previewing and predicting. So you kind of understand, comprehend, looking at the headlines, titles, images, photos, number lists, ideas that text list, looking at them itself, you will kind of predict what the text is going to be. So exploit, as a teacher, exploit the headlines, the titles, the side headings, the photos, the images, and predict what the text is going to be. Then you do skimming and scanning. While you're doing skimming and skimming means, you all know, run your eyes quickly through the text to find out what the content is about. The reading is to do with skimming. It is believed, researchers say, good readers, excellent readers, it has been found, can read up to 1,000 words in 1 minute. That is amazing. And I haven't come across many people reading 1,000 words in 1 minute. But I think a good reader, I would say, is somebody who can read at least 500 words in 5 minutes. That is skimming, not knowing everything. Skimming is very different. It is not trying to understand every sentence. It is just glossing through the whole thing and trying to get a gist what the writer is talking about. Scanning is a little more detailed. Scanning is where you look for particular idea, particular answer to a question. That is scanning. And the technique for scanning, one of the strategies is you could even read once you skim, get a general idea, and that's what you do when you sit for competitive examination, GRE or TOEFL or IELTS. You run your eyes through the text, get a general idea of what it is. Then you take a look at the questions, because you don't have to plod through every sentence or every word, and you are constrained by the timing. So take a look at the questions, and quickly when you read the questions, you get an idea. The answer must be in para 1 or para 2, and you scan only that para and find your answer for the questions there. While you're skimming and scanning, you are contextualizing the text. Contextualizing now requires your prior knowledge, which happens next, activating your prior knowledge. This and this are linked. Contextualizing is linked to activating your prior knowledge. So you read the text, where is this happening? Place a text within a context. Is it happening in local place, within India, within a certain state, within a certain district, or is it global? The next one, whom does it affect? Does it affect you? Is it about some values, which means it could affect you, talking of a certain value at the end of the text? Or does it affect you or other people in the world? It could be a story. It could be a story talking about an incident which happened in some other part of the world. So whom does it affect? So we are contextualizing using these questions: where, whom. Okay, these are the two main questions. There are many more questions also you could ask for contextualizing. So while we are activating our prior knowledge, we need to ask the question, what do you know about the context therein? Have you had some experience which is similar to what the text is talking about? So can you recall about a similar incident that has happened to you? So that is activating prior knowledge. It could be even to do not only with the theme, it could be with the vocabulary. Have you come across these words elsewhere? Are you familiar with the structure that the writer uses? Developing personal connections to the text. So when have you gone through similar experience as the main characters in the text? Could you think about this while you are reading? As somebody has pointed out, perception is a very important thing. That is why, though sometimes teachers complain that I have children at different levels, different experience, I think teachers must exploit this, having different levels and different prior knowledge, and get them to have, react to a text or respond to the text in different ways so that you could have multiple responses and not just one response to an answer, to a question, sorry. So going beyond text, tapping their perception, all this requires personally connecting to the text. To continue with reading comprehension, we have done this in other sessions, so I will not tell much on it. I'll just gloss over this. When you come across a text, you must identify main ideas and supporting details, which means asking and answering questions. How will the character solve the problem? A teacher may ask. So you can speculate, depending on your experience, you can speculate uh, how this problem can be solved. One of the common things strategy that we use is what questions come to mind when you preview the text. So after reading the title, ask students to come up with 3 questions they expect the article to answer, which I think I will be doing when I use a text with you people. If you can frame 3 questions when you just preview the title as well as the looking at the picture or the paragraphing or using the keywords there, then read the text. Uh, has the text answered the 3 questions that you have asked? So that's again one of the strategies that you can pose to your students. Using context clues to expand vocabulary. Um, Signal words, the format, the structure of the text, the cohesive devices that the text uses, like firstly, secondly, thirdly. So you're using these clues also to understand the text. And also, you would probably paraphrase. Morning in a session, a speaker was talking about paraphrasing as a strategy. So if you come across a certain word, synonyms, the opposites, paraphrasing in other words, so these are the things that you could use using context clues. Using parts of speech and transition words to analyze text. So when you read a certain question, it might throw up something like, which sentence tells you that the protagonist changed his plan? So maybe you have to go to a certain word which uses something like, but things are not very clear. So I had to redo my plan. So you make use of some reference word or pronouns there in the structure of the text, or the transition words which tell you that he's moving from one thought to another thought. So these are all very important in breaking down the text and understanding the text. Identifying, summarizing, paraphrasing essential information, which is all part of the reading comprehension. We are coming down to the higher order now. So summarize what you have read, say it in orally, or do a paragraph in writing. Write it just in a clear, concise manner, not retelling everything. When teachers ask students to summarize, please do not expect them to summarize everything that is there in the text. Summarizing should be just the gist of what the text says. And finally, questioning the text and the author's purpose. So monitoring, clarifying, if you don't understand certain things, making inferences, and critical reading. This is where the interaction happens after reading, where the teacher throws questions or the students ask questions to the teacher, to the class. People give their own perception of what they have read, and then we resolve that this is also possible, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. Why? We go back to the text and we say, no, the text says this, so this could not be a solution. So that in brief is about reading comprehension. We will look more at this exercise. This is a previewing exercise. Now, when I give an exercise, I just want to show the difference between exercise and a task when it comes to reading. An exercise is an exercise, say in the 70s and 80s, we were talking about, especially in grammar, about uh, mechanical exercises. But I think we have thrown that idea out of the window now. Any exercise will be today, if it is well thought out, will be thought provoking, will make the person think before answering. So the mechanical exercises are there, I'm saying, but it's generally done out of the classroom more for practice purposes. uh, I'm just showing you this exercise. It's definitely not what I have designed, but I've just picked up from the one of the websites. But I thought it's an interesting one, and I should share it with you. Discuss these questions in pairs or groups. Share your ideas with the class. Now, looking at this picture, what is this picture about? Can you put it in the chat, please? Just one or two words. What? And this is going to be followed by a lesson, by a text. Can you give me a word or two when you look at this picture? I've not given you the title. Yeah, pizza. I got that. Pizza. So probably the lesson is about food, about pizza, fast food, burger, lovely, yummy food. Look at the way, look at our perception there. So junk food, why not? So uh, it's about eating habits. It could be anything. Thank you so much, all of you. So the question there is previewing, do you enjoy pizza? Why do you enjoy it? Why not? I have the answers there. You already have said you may not enjoy because it's junk food. Okay, it's fast food. Does everyone like the same kind of pizza? What do you think? Now, that's where again the author or the material producer may try to get different perception in the class. Now, you can extend now this is an exercise, right? An example of exercise, reading comprehension exercise. You could make it a task. How could you make it a task? Now, when you get this answer, does everyone like the same kind of pizza? What do you think? You can take a poll in the class. How many of them, what are the different kind of pizzas? How many of them like vegetable pizza? How many like chicken pizza? How many of them like margherita pizza? Cheese pizza? So you could do a poll in the class and then display it and talk about it, extend a reading exercise talk with other skills also, listening, reading, writing, and talking finally about it. How do you make it into a task? Now, a task is a sum of exercise activities put together. I would call it a task. There are various definitions to this, but I would say a task is a bigger one which involves some exercises, uh, and also activities. For instance, I could say I could send off my students to a fast food shop and tell them to sit there and watch how many of them are buying which type of pizzas to find out which is the popular pizza that is bought in that area. Okay, and then they can do it in a graph, come back, report to the class, write a paragraph on it. That would be a task. Now, whenever we give a task, we probably have to stretch it and give them more time. Generally, a task is built at the end of a theme. Say you do a theme in the class which runs to about 3-4 lessons, or it could be in higher colleges, it could be one theme per semester. So you could build a task, give them a task per semester, which involves them going and talking, reading more about it, and then presenting it to the class. This is an example of, so the last one we saw was about previewing exercise. Now, this is a skimming exercise, and I would say if you want to improve your reading speed or skimming, you need to practice reading again and again. Read with the timing. Put down the beginning timing and put down your ending timing. And generally the speed is calculated number of words divided by the time taken. So roughly this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines here. I roughly counted it. It's about 170 to 180 words, 14 to 15 words per line, 180 words maximum. I'm going to give you some time. Some time in the sense for 180 words, the maximum I can give you is 5 minutes. I'll pause for 5 minutes. Please start reading now. Put your beginning time and the end time. Start reading. Time starts now. If you're done, please put your timing. Don't tell me the beginning time and end time. Just tell me the time taken to read. Seems a long time. 2 minutes? We are close to 3 minutes, I think. Are you done? Please put your timing.
Yes, ma'am, they are. Like, they have given us 2 minutes, 1 minute 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 83 seconds, 50 seconds,
Okay,
so
thank
on.
you. Thank you. As I said in the beginning, 1,000 words, 1 minute, that is impossible. But for 180 words, if you are a good reader, you should at least do it in 1.5 minutes. If you're an excellent reader, you should be able to finish in less than a minute. Less than a minute. So check for yourself. That is that. Now, if you have read this, if all of you have read this, we'll go on to the next one. What is this reading mainly about? Please read those 4 options given there and text the answer. Is it A, B, C, or D? Yeah, I see some say D, some say C. This is what we get. Some say D, some say C. I would go with C more than D. For what reason? Let me go back to the passage. Thank you, all of you. I would go with C more than the D. Now, if it was a class, I would have asked you to give me the reason. But I think the entire thing talks about, when we talk about the main idea of the passage, it's generally in the beginning or at the end. It could also be somewhere in the middle. I said generally in the beginning or at the end, sometimes in the middle. Pizza Margherita also became the basic model for the modern pizza. I think it is D because the whole thing talks about pizza. She liked pizza, so the best chef was called. He made pizza. And then when the pizza, her name is this, and it's still being used today, it's become the popular style and it's become the basic model. Why not D? Because it doesn't talk from the beginning to the end the history of the pizzeria branding. If the text was about the history, it would start with when it started, which year, who made it, what are the ingredients that go into it. It would be more only about this variety of pizza, whereas I think C is more close, right? Let's go to the next one. Ma'am, can you, now we are going to look at a video which talks about reading comprehension, more so in the context of competitive examination, where speed is very, very important, and how to get this speed, how to identify, how to go ahead. That's what it is. Alina ma'am, can you play the video, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello everyone and welcome to the next video of GREH. Today we will be looking at
Hello
a
everyone
roadblock
and welcome
faced
to
by
the next
most of the
video of
GRE test
GREH.
takers,
Today
the RC
we will be
questions.
looking at a
Before we
roadblock
begin,
faced by
don't
most of the
forget to
GRE
subscribe
test
to our
takers,
channel
the
and
RC
hit
question.
the bell icon
Before
for
we
more
begin,
updates
don't
related to
forget to
admissions
subscribe to
and
our
GRE
channel and
and
hit
each
the
of
bell
the two
icon
verbal
for more
sections on
updates
the
related to
exam. We can
admissions
expect
and
10 to
GRE.
11
In each
questions
of the two
from
verbal
5 to
sections
7
on
hours.
the exam.
passages, which means RC questions will always make up for roughly half of your verbal section. Thus, getting it just right is imperative if you want a high score. This unfortunately leads to a lot of students opting for shortcuts to try and ace their way through. Well, we at GREH have realized that the tricks to solve RC passages lies not in the online shortcuts but in a more scientific and tested method. We have narrowed it down to two major aspects: understanding the RC passages and answering the questions. Let's start with understanding RC passages. It's obvious. To be able to solve something, you must first grasp what it really is. For example, you cannot solve geometry questions without learning about different shapes. Thus, to understand RCs, we must first talk about three components that constitute them. They are ideas in the passage, types of sentences, key concept of the passage. Let's dive a little deeper now. Ideas in the passage.
Can you pause, ma'am? Ma'am,
First up,
they are
we need
saying
to
that it's not very clear.
Just a second, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible to you, ma'am?
Yeah, you're audible to me.
ideas,
Maybe I will
namely
mute. Should
explicit
I mute?
Yeah.
I'll do
and
that.
Wait. Yes, ma'am. Should I play the video again, ma'am? Is it gets echo, right, ma'am? Ma'am, you're not audible. Ma'am, sorry, you're not audible.
Can you ask others also to unmute? Because, or to mute, please.
Okay.
Otherwise, the participants also have to mute. I will mute.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, play, ma'am. Please play.
Hello everyone and welcome to the next video of GREH. Today we will be looking at a roadblock faced by most of the GRE test takers, the RC questions. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates related to admissions and GRE. In each of the two verbal sections on the exam, you can expect 10 to 11 questions from 5 to 7 RC passages, which means RC questions will always make up for roughly half of your verbal section. Thus, getting it just right is imperative if you want a high score. This unfortunately leads to a lot of students opting for shortcuts to try and ace their way through. Well, we at GREH have realized that the tricks to solve RC passages lies not in the online shortcuts but in a more scientific and tested method. We have narrowed it down to two major aspects: understanding the RC passages and answering the questions. Let's start with understanding RC passages. It's obvious. To be able to solve something, you must first grasp what it really is. For example, you cannot solve geometry questions without learning about different shapes. Thus, to understand RCs, we must first talk about three components that constitute them. They are ideas in the passage, types of sentences, key concept of the passage. Let's dive a little deeper now. Ideas in the passage. First up, we need to understand that there are two types of ideas, namely explicit and implicit. Explicit ideas, as the name suggests, are the straightforward ideas that are directly discussed by the author. They are usually easy to understand. However, a student can face difficulties when these statements are long and complex. Let's look at an example. To solve these long and complex statements, you must break them down into smaller segments to understand the entire idea carefully. Taking the previous sentence and breaking it down into three parts. fiscal year plan for the year 2020 to 2021 was announced. The plan had benefits for the upper class, but it bombarded the middle class sector with high tax slabs and no benefits. Next up is implicit main ideas. They are more subtle in nature, hiding their true meaning behind layered language and indirect statements. These characteristically use the techniques such as idioms, hidden facts, or sarcasm to convey their context. For example, read the given passage and find out the main idea. Here the author does not say forthright what his main argument is. Instead, he describes the situation.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have paused. Ma'am, you have muted your mic, ma'am.
Answering inferential and critical reasoning questions in the GRE. And hey, if you are struggling with critical reasoning questions in the GRE verbal, download our free ebook on sample critical reasoning questions with explanation to help you.
Ma'am, there is more to it.
You need to once again. We need to play it, ma'am.
No,
The remaining part.
How? Yes, the remaining part, because I think it talks about key concepts. I wanted them to see that.
Okay, ma'am. So you want to talk, explain right now something, ma'am, and then we should play.
No, they want them to read. I want them to read that passage. It said pause, no?
Okay.
There was a passage.
Excuse me, ma'am. Please wait. I'm playing it. I'll play the passage. Just.
Ma'am, is there an issue? Then we'll go ahead with the slides. Ma'am?
Hello everyone and welcome to the next video of GREH.
Ma'am, is that visible now?
Roadblock faced by most of the GRE test takers, the RC questions. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates related to admissions and GRE. In each of the two verbal sections on the exam, you can expect 10 to 11 questions from 5 to 7 RC passages, which means RC questions will always make up for roughly half of your verbal section.
Ma'am, I think we'll go back to the slide. This is taking
Excuse me, ma'am.
Shall we go back?
Yeah, right, ma'am. Yes. Yeah, right, ma'am.
Yeah, this is taking...
Yeah, right, ma'am.
I wanted certain part which is not being presented. It's okay. Go back to the slide. Yeah, next slide. Who is this person? Can you recognize him? Can you text his name, please?
Ma'am? Yes, ma'am?
No, I'm asking the audience.
Okay.
Who is this person? Can you text? Are they there? Yes, Shashi Tharoor. I got the answer there. Tharoor. Now, if you read this title, A Well-Educated Mind versus a Well-Formed Mind, can you tell me, this is a title of his talk, which he sometime in 2013, he gave this talk. In today's times, Shashi Tharoor is one who has mastered, he is one of the masters of the English language, and some of his speeches are very, very worth listening. So what I have done is, since it's contemporary also, very recent time, I have taken one of his speech and made a tape script for you, so that it can be used as a reading text. Now, look at the title, A Well-Educated Mind versus a Well-Formed Mind. What do you think he's going to talk about? Give me one or two words what he's going to talk about. Can you type there? Can you predict what the talk is going to be about? Yeah? Education, yes. Somebody said he's going to talk about education, right? So that's what he does. He talks about education, the role of the government, the role of people, society. That's what he talks here. So I'm not going to get you to read everything, but I would say that you could go back and key in the Google Shashi Tharoor and look for this, a well-educated mind versus a well-formed mind. And he says in his talk that it's not necessary that we fill students' mind with facts, or everybody needs to get a degree, an MBA, an engineering, a PhD. But we need people who can take action, decisions when they are faced with crisis. And it's so true of today's time when we are in COVID, that every day we are facing a situation where we have to take a decision on something or the other. So he redefines education, and he says education must be something that can help you to take action. So it should lead to a well-formed mind where you can take action, you can take decisions, and those are the things that are important. I would say that to listen to him, it's a wonderful talk. Please do that. Had I had a longer session, I would have got you to read this, but there is no time, so I'm just going through this. He talks about the 4 E's in education. Okay, they are expansion, equity, equal opportunities to everyone, employability, and he also talks about the challenges that we have today. Okay, so then he goes on to say what kind of education we require. He's very positive. He gives, he deals with demography, and he says India has all the people who are high on education, and the other countries don't have. So let's wake up and prepare ourselves. These are the 5 types of readers: the strategic reader, the static reader, the tactic reader, visual reader, reflective reader, aware reader. In fact, we have 5 of them here. So what about the first reader? The first reader is the tacit reader. The tacit reader is a reader who lacks awareness, how to think, and when reading. So he lacks understanding of concepts. So he takes a long time when he's reading a passage, and he is not able to grasp things very easily. So he takes quite some time to understand what the text is about. Visual reader. Now, visual reader is the person who can visualize things. He is somebody, who will be able to say he's reading a story which has the lakes and the waterfall and people, the hero sitting there with the heroine. He can visualize the whole thing. He is the visual reader. The next one is the aware reader. The aware reader is the one who knows, when he's getting stuck, when the meaning has broken down, but does not know how to fix it, he has a roadblock, but he does not know how to resolve it, how to fix it. So he needs to apply certain strategies. He needs help. And probably he needs to get it from somewhere outside. The next one is the strategic reader. The strategic reader knows, strategic reader is the one who knows the meaning when the meaning breaks down, but he really needs help. The reflective reader. The reflective reader is the one who can read and then think about it. He is a good reader. A reflective reader is on the top. He's a good reader and they know which strategies work, and they also are always striving to reach to the next level. Now, let's look at what each one of these readers really need. Things to think about. Now, if you're a tacit reader, you have to preview, think about what you know, read carefully, reread and annotate. I told you tacit reader lacks awareness. So he has to read and reread, and then he has to break it down, annotate it, then he can get across. If you're an aware reader, then you should be aware of what you are thinking, pay attention to what you do know to help you what you don't know. Because he has a problem. He knows he's aware of some, he's not aware of the known and the unknown. So he should use the known to reach the unknown. So he should catch information that you don't know and that hinders understanding. Then you have the strategic reader. He will preview, predict, question, activate schema, establish purpose. He will use all the strategies. He will integrate knowledge also. Now, if you are a reflective reader, the reflective reader tends towards deductive learning. He prefers reflective observation, values interpersonal skills, uses tools like journals and learning logs. So if you're a reflective reader, if your class has, every class will have a mix of all these readers. As a teacher, you should identify them. Set different comprehension tasks where some questions will be reflective questions, where they can reflect, relate to their personal experience and answer. Some will be questions where they have to use specific strategies like predict, picturize, relate, correct. Wrong sentence you gave, incorrect sentence. Then you ask them to correct it in 3 different ways. A strategic reader will be able to do it easily. An aware reader, set questions where he can use his knowledge, what he knows, in order to crack what he doesn't know. Which means a teacher should be aware of what his learners know, not in general as a class, individually. So overall, when you set comprehension question, see that you cover all types of readers. Now, questioning, that's the next thing. People always say, my children are not able to answer. My students are not able to answer. Now, have you framed the question at the level at which they can answer? Now, go back to the very basic types of questioning. There are questions which we call alternate questions, where the answer is already there. Do you like tea or coffee? Where the learner does not have to use much language, just think and pick the answer, tea or coffee. So he will say tea or he will say coffee. The next level of questioning is yes or no, where do you like coffee? Then he'll have to produce language, but it'll be a one-word answer where he will say yes. More advanced learner will say in a full sentence, yes, I like coffee. Then you have the WH questions, and then you can move on to more reflective questions. So the teacher must be very, very careful where you're questioning the thinking and understanding and not focusing on the level of language production. So that is very, very important. Common roadblocks that people have. I just gave an example of syntax. That is, the meaning can differ depending on how the sentence is. Get a glass of milk before you sit down. Or if you write it, sit down after you get the glass of milk. So here the focus is on when you should sit down. Here, what you should do before you get a glass of milk. So while they are reading, allow them to understand how syntax, framing of sentences, structure can change the meaning. Comprehension has a lot to do with meaning too. Teach students sentence diagramming to enhance awareness of syntax. Utilize close procedure to fill space. Grammatically correct sentences. The close can focus on meaning, on grammar, on vocabulary, anything, whatever you want. Provide students with syntactically incorrect sentences. Ask them to generate as many corrections as possible. How to develop comprehension skills. We are almost at the end. Have students read, read, read. This will help them to recognize and learn new words. Please go through this. I'm not reading it for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, participants, you could post your questions in the chat box.
Lena, no question means either they've enjoyed it, understood everything, or
Yes.
nothing of it.
Yes. Yeah, we have a question from Mr. Vamsi Krishna. What's the difference between comprehension skills and comprehension strategies?
That's a good question. Skills and strategies. Now, I think one includes the other. They are just two different words. I wouldn't say there is any great difference. But skill is a narrower word than strategies. I don't think I have any great answer for that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Somebody says, please share your PPT. I don't mind, Lena, if anybody asks you particularly to share the PPT, you may share it with them. I have no issues.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will share it. Yes, ma'am. So thank you, ma'am. So thank you, ma'am, for your remarkable speech. And the key takeaway from your session is the challenges involved in reading comprehension, especially in online learning, and the activities that could be followed by the teachers in the classroom. And we were able to get to know about the different types of readers and their thinking, and how to identify the type of readers in the classroom, especially through activities, and also the tips to develop comprehension skills. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lena.
Thank you.
Really nice.